Hey, welcome back to another episode of Garrett Tailgate Talks. KG and I are here with some dude. Who is this guy?
Just some dude out in the desert.
This is world famous Kevin Hoagland. He is known for gold hunting. He's a gold hunting master, in my opinion.
Absolutely, he's a machine, and we've been out here in the desert with him for the past couple days. He's shown us a lot about the Garrett axiom, and we're here just to find out what makes him tick and how he finds all that gold. So, you know, how did you get started metal detecting?
How I got started is pretty simple. I asked for a metal detector for my 9th birthday, and my mother absolutely refused, and because she had another plan. So my 9th birthday come along, and I got a couple of presents, and I opened up one of them, and it was a kit, and it wasn't like the really cheap kit. It was one where you had to put all of the resistors and everything. You had to build the boards.
Like a radio where you bought a radio as a kid and had to build it?
Yeah, so I had to build everything, and it wasn't like put resistor here and resistor there and and you had to just sit there and read the schematics to figure out what it was all done and wind the coil and get everything done. And when I got it all completed, I went out and I could find her car from about that far away. And my first thought was, this can be better.
Yeah,
and that's what got me started on the rabbit hole. I went down all the rabbit holes. I spent a lot of time if there's younger people watching this, they may not know what I'm going to say, but I spent a lot of time at the thing called the library. And I spent a lot of time at Radio Shack, back in the day when it was all resistors. And I worked with those guys, and they taught me a lot of things, and I read every book that there was. And when I got done, I could find her car from about that far away. And that was it. I mean, that was it. And I've been hooked ever since.
So when did you start your relationship with Garrett?
My relationship with Garrett started in 1981. I had bought this machine because I'd read all this stuff about the gold rush and how Charles Garrett and his team had actually started the Australian gold rush with metal detectors. And I was fascinated by it. So I started studying everything I could. And in 1981, I bought my very first commercial detector, which was the Groundhog, and I went out and I found gold with it. Absolutely found gold.
Here in
not that
Arizona?
far away. Yeah, not that far away from here.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was the beginning of my relationship with Garrett, and there's been some machines. I did have some coin and relic stuff, but to me, I don't know. There's something about learning everything about the ground and everything else, and being able to find the area to look for gold.
Right.
So to me, it's about more than just going out and swinging a coil. It's about understanding where you need to be and everything else. And that fascinated me to the point where I've gone to England a couple of times and done some of the coin and relic hunts there. But I came back with some really nice stuff, some beautiful Saxon coins and some things like that. And I was like, whatever. And I threw them on the cabinet. Threw them on the shelf. And it was like, but give me a quarter of a gram of gold nugget, and by God, I'm liable to put that in lucite or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Relic hunting is pretty easy. You just have to go where people used to be.
Exactly.
And you're a relic hunter. Gold hunting is a lot different game.
You're dealing with the beginning of time, and I don't know if you want to hear how I actually got started in gold prospecting.
Sure, why not?
I was 6 or 7 years old, and my mom was a CTI investigator, for the phone company, which means we had a lot of different places. And outside of California City, that you could buy a little chunk of land out there and do that. Well, I was out there one time, and there was this, you'd take off wandering through the desert. Well, I saw this puff of smoke coming up over just a little hill, and I walked up, and here's this old guy, must have been 30, 35 years old. I mean, just this old dude.
Yeah, super
and
old.
And he's got this galvanized tub with water in it, and he's got this old metal gold pan. And he's using this old bellows dry washer, and I'm just watching this thing in absolute fascination. And he acknowledged me and so on like that. And the long story is short, he got ready to do his cleanup, and he said, "Come on down here, kid." And he took the pan and he said, "What are you seeing?" I don't know, it's just all black sand.
Right.
And he said, "Watch." And he popped that sand, and just a smiley face all the way across the back end of the pan just popped up. And he said, "You know what that is?" And I said, "Gold?" Yeah, but it's something else. He said, "This is eternity. Gold is eternal. It's been here since the beginning of this planet. And after we're all gone, it will still be here.
Be here, yeah.
Now, I didn't have a clue as to what the word eternity meant, but it sounded so cool. And I went back, talked to my mom. She told me what it was, and my brother. And then, you know, that's what got me started gold prospecting. So,
could you imagine going back to when you first started and had the equipment we have today?
And the knowledge, right when you first started.
If I was 15 years old with everything that I've done and all the knowledge that I have gone, you guys would, nobody would ever see me.
You'd be rich, you'd have a yacht, and you'd be smoking giant cigars.
Yeah, the only person that would see me would be the guy that's buying my gold.
Yeah,
and that's really about it. But, you know, technology. Let's talk about the technology right off the bat.
Yeah.
The groundhog, amazing machine. And technology has just gotten better and better and better for all the way across the board, you know, all the way across the board for all the manufacturers. And it's been really amazing to be so intricate and to be such a part of this industry, to go from having a very, very simple VLF detector, or the groundhog, the BFO, the beat freak oscillator, and where we are today. You know, where we are today. Take anything, you know, like the Axiom and these machines like that. It's just absolutely amazing. And I'm so glad that I've been a part of it. And I'm so glad that I've been able to share it with people.
Yeah, well, just like KG said, gold hunting compared to coin shooting or relic hunting, it's a whole different animal. In fact, you were just saying earlier today, it's harder to teach us how to gold hunt than somebody that doesn't know anything about detecting, because we have habits that are bad habits for gold hunting. And the first thing he said to me is, I need to slow down and like drag my coil and all these different things. And of course I walked away doing the wrong thing, and he had to throw rocks at me.
He yelled at me.
Hold on. You were easy to deal with.
Yeah.
Him?
Yeah.
I look up, he's standing no further than you and I. He takes off and he's swinging the coil. I look up a couple times, and I look up and he's a half an acre away. in less than 5 minutes, you know. If you were doing what we call in gold prospecting, you were walking your coil. You took your coil out for a walk.
Yeah.
You know, and it's something that happens.
Yeah.
You know, gold is natural. It's natural. Gold is not the greatest conductor in the world.
Yeah.
And it's all the other things. But, you know, I take a 1 ounce nugget and I turn it into a 7/8 ounce ring, because I get all the impurities out of it. And then I put the stuff back into it to keep it from being too malleable, you know, 24K.
Right, like if it's 10 karat gold.
Yeah, make it a 22 karat gold.
Yeah.
That signal, if I took that nugget and then I took that ring that was made out of that nugget, it's two completely different signals. Yeah. It's two completely different, just the process of like a coin and relic machine hitting that and then a gold machine hitting that, just two completely different worlds.
Right.
So what advice would you give to a newbie that wants to metal detect for gold?
Buy a good machine that will allow you to grow into it. Right? I've seen so many people over the years that have bought like the detector du jour. Right. You know, everybody loves it, and then a few years later, they're coming to me going, "What next?" You know, right. I've kind of grown out of this machine. What's the next machine? And you know, I can use the 24K as a perfect example of that. I can take the 24K, I can turn it on, I can ground balance, and I can go hunt. And the machine is going to find gold. Now, there's a whole other side to the 24K. And I don't know if I should say this or not, but my first 24K was under the old brand.
Right.
So when Garrett, and I have, to this day, I still don't know what Garrett did when they started manufacturing the Garrett White's 24K.
Right.
It's a different machine. I mean, I've got a GMX, which is the waterproof version of the 24K. And I can hit one of my targets in my test bed, and then I can pick the Garrett 24K, go across it, completely different sound. It's more stable. There's so much of that machine that even, you know, it just absolutely, I hate to say it this way, it almost obsoletes the old White's 24K.
Right.
You know,
right.
and I don't know if that's I don't know.
Well, when they bought the technology from White's, it just became a different thing after they tweaked a couple of things. So.
And I'll tell you, the most shocking thing to me was, I was at the memorial hunt when, after the purchase had been made, and Vaughn introduced what was going to be the first machine that came from White.
From White, yeah.
And I'm sitting there going, okay, what is it going to be? The Spectrum? What all this other stuff. And I'm listening, and I hear the first machine's going to be the 24K. And I was back at the back corner where all the booths were, where all the Garrett table was.
Right.
And you could hear me went, yeah! And there was a lot of people that were a part of the Garrett team at that point. They all just looked at me. Are you happy? Oh yeah. Yeah. So
get a good machine if you're going to start.
Yeah, get a good machine.
And I think here's something that applies to both gold hunting and relic hunting, and that's just putting your time in.
Absolutely.
Because there's no way to learn anything. You can't be Eddie Van Halen the day you buy your first guitar. You need to put some time in on it, right?
That's so very true. And if I take a machine like the 24K, so I've got a machine like this, and I love this machine. Some of the things you're going to do, and this is when I was doing a lot of training, and back in the days when I was actually a dealer as well, I would, if I sold you this machine, or even if you walked up to me and said, what can you do to help me with it? The first thing I'm going to tell you is go out, get one of those little pocket notebooks, put it in your pocket, grab a pen, and go out and hunt this machine in every factory preset that there is. And don't come back and talk to me till you've got 30 hours on the machine. Not having it 30 hours, 30 hours of the coil on the ground.
Right.
And then that way, and then I go through there and I said, all I want you to do is say, sunshine, rainy, cloudy, 22 bullet, 6 inches. Because when you bring that back to me, I'm going to look at that, because I gave you guys a lot of hard time for the things that you were doing wrong.
Right.
But I don't care about what you really do wrong. I mean, I know you guys. We can have fun together and so on like that.
Right.
But if I never met you, I don't care about what you do wrong. All I care about are the things that you're doing right.
Yeah.
Because if we take everything that you're doing right that I have in that little pocket pal, then when it's all said and done, all I'm going to do is work with you on the right things, and then the bad things just go away.
Yeah.
Except maybe.
Yeah, except for him.
Covering 5 acres pretty quick.
Certain times there are hopeless cases, and there's just something you can't do about it.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's some awesome information.
Yeah.
And very quickly, buy the right machine, something you can grow into, learn how to put it on the ground, keep the coil on the ground, learn how to run the factory presets, and then not be afraid to go further. Those are the most important things. And that's the, if I was going to give anybody any just real, this is what you need to do, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Awesome.
Put your time in, get a good machine, put your time in. Learn the machine. Don't go bad-mouthing it until you understand it.
Exactamundo, KG.
And then grow into it.
Yeah.
So don't say all the nasty things about the Axiom like you did this morning.
You heard that, huh?
Oh yeah.
Well, thank you, Kevin.
Absolutely,
You're a
guys.
good man.
Thanks.
It's good to
Always
see you
great
guys.
seeing you.
Yeah, and hopefully you'll take some time and come out here
Yeah.
when it's not quite 110 degrees.
Yeah.
Right.
And we can go out and we can just actually go out and get on some gold.
And we'll bring some chip clips for you.
Yeah, okay. I stepped into that one.
Hey, thanks for joining us on this week's adventure with Garrett, the Tailgate Talk with Kevin Hoagland. It was amazing. There's a ton of info here. So if you got a website or anything you want to send people
Gold
to?
Prospectors Association of America, goldprospectors.org. I'm the Executive Director of Development. The YouTube channel is based on, just go to YouTube and type in @goldprospectors and it'll bring up. I've got a lot of videos. My videos are not, I'm a real educator, and I have to wrap my head around that. I'm not the guy that's going to go out and pop around and have fun content. I want people to learn.
Right.
So
he's got a lot of serious stuff. You might have seen some of our stuff.
Yeah, leave the stupidity to us.
Yeah. If you want to go to diggintv.com, you can find stuff about the Axiom. It's going to show you how we found gold in Alaska and some different places. But if you want to learn how to use it, this is the guy.
yeah.
Go to this website.
And I love your guys' site. That's a killer site.
Thank you.